Lenny Loud was always a sunny, upbeat person. Everyone in Royal Woods admired and looked up to her, and when she was always willing to help her out with her friends and family, today she was heading out to her first day of her new job. She was beyond excited, dressing in her most professional outfit and humming the cheerful tune as she made her way down the road. Lenny had been looking forward to this new job for weeks. She was going to be working at a little little boutique in town, and she had been promised that she would love the job right away. She was buzzing with anticipation, and as she walked into the shop, ready to get started, but her excitement was quickly replaced with fear as soon as she stepped through the door. She was immediately confronted with a strange and sinister presence. Lenny's eyes widened as she realized that she was surrounded by dark shadows that seemed to be shifting and crawling in all from all sizes. She could feel her heart racing, and her skin was covered in a layer of cold sweat. Lenny did her best to take a few calming breaths, but her terror was too great. Just as she was about to turn and run, a voice came from the gloom. It was a low and menacing, and it told her, in no certain terms, that if she didn't stay and work, something terrible would happen. Lenny had no choice but to obey. She gulped further down into the shop. She expected to meet with an army of strange shadow creatures, but instead she was met with an odd figure. This figure was wearing a long brown coat and a wide brim hat, and he seemed to be leaning up against the wall of the store, searching her with a dark glint in his eye. Lenny was even more terrified of this curious figure, but then again she had no other choice, and slowly and cautiously asked the figure what he wanted. He simply stared back at her and then instructed her to take off her clothes, but of course she refused, and he pointed at the accusing finger at her. If you dare set foot outside of this shop, I'll come after you and I'll find you, and I'll make sure you're sorry for disobeying me. The figure spoke with an air faintly. Lenny had no choice but to obey the figure. She waited for him to make his next move, and she never expected that he would lean her let her down with that fateful path, the one that would end her life forever. When they reached the back room of the store, the figure opened the door and revealed several wooden barrels filled with what appeared to be some kind of liquid. Lenny had a sinking feeling that the liquid was anything but innocent, and sure enough, the figure confirmed it was fear. You see this liquid, Lenny? It's death in a bottle. Drink it and your life will be taken away. It's unfortunate fate, but the one I could not allow to befall on anyone else. Lenny was too afraid to move, so she simply just stood there and stared at the figure. The figure looked back at her with a cruel smile, acknowledging her fear. He then told her to drink the liquid or suffer worse death. Lenny was frightened, but determined. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath, and then downed the entire contents of the barrel. The moment liquid hit her lips, Lenny loud gasped in pain before collapsing. She was declared dead at the scene and sent to the Royal Woods morgue, her death certificate citing an unknown cause of death. Lenny's family were racked with grief and horror upon hearing the news of her death. They had no idea what had happened to their beloved daughter. Eventually, rumors began to circulate the town. People claimed that a lost episode from the popular show The Loud House had featured a sinister figure appearing in the store, demanding an unsuspected person to drink death in a bottle. And that was this episode that had been lost due to a mysterious technical glitch. Most people thought of this to be nothing more but a creepy story, but those who close to Lenny knew what she had been brave and determined to girl, the one who would always have done everything for her loved ones. Lenny's death remains a mystery to this day, but those who knew her well will never forget the brave girl who have her give her life to protect the others. It was 6 years ago when Lynn Jr. first realized what she had done. After growing up in a large family, Lynn had become the oppressor, belittling her brother Lincoln upon multiple occasions. She declared him as bad luck, wishing that his life would be easier if he didn't exist. Although Lynn felt comfortable with being the one in charge of her siblings, she now felt a looming feeling over the dread that wasn't compared with the same vigor or confidence that she normally wore on her face. The situation had become strange after Lincoln's disappearance one night. No one in the Loud family had known what happened to him, as it was he vanished into thin air, with only his belongings remaining in his room to suggest that he had been there at all. In the weeks leading up to that fateful day, the family had noticed the strange activity that had been surrounding the house. There were whispers in the night, threats to make anyone who dared to venture out, and an aurora of dread that only deepened with each day passed. Nobody had any answers, and worse yet, everyone blamed Lynn herself. She was the only one that wished away her brother, and now they were uncertain that she had something to do with him being gone. It wasn't until one night, when Lynn was all alone in a room, with a single episode of The Loud House appeared on her phone. It was the episode of the show that had never aired, and the content was something out of the horror story. It showed Lynn moments after she wished Lincoln bad luck, and it showed a figure taking him away, never to be seen again. Needless to say, Lynn was filled with incredible guilt for what he had done. She wanted nothing more to do than to turn back in time, take back her obscure declaration, trying to undo the wrong that she had caused. It was too late. Nothing could be done the same. Lynn never fully recovered from her fault. The episode of Loud House she watched will remain with her forever, a reminder of some of the regret that comes from calling someone bad luck. The day before Halloween was a normal day at the kids at the Loud House. Everyone was preparing costumes, discussing plans for the night. None were expecting that was to come. The night of the Halloween was uneventful until the early morning hours. That's when things started to go wrong. At first, it seemed like a regular night, until Lucy Loud, the youngest of the Loud siblings, decided to take things to the extreme. Lucy had planned something special for Halloween and thought she would take it to the next level by setting off some fireworks. Her idea was to make the next night extra special. Little did she know it would have a disastrous consequences. The fireworks set up surrounding the houses on fire all the way down the street. Neighbors woke up to see their houses engulfed into flames. Firefighters rushed to the scene, but it was too late. By the time they arrived, most of the homes were destroyed. Lucy was devastated, and she wanted to make Halloween a perfect night, but it had backfired. Everyone in the Loud House was shocked, and all the siblings tried to make amends for the damage. After the fire was put out, the strange thing happened. Lucy started to watch a strange show that wasn't normal on TV. The show was about the Loud House, and it seemed like it was an episode that had never aired. The episode continued on, and it showed Lucy in a dark and sinister world where she had taken Halloween too far. The episode showed the destruction caused by her plan, and at the end, Lucy realizes the error of her ways and apologizes to her family and neighbors. As soon as the episode ended, it disappeared until the TVs went back to normal. No one ever spoke of this strange episode again. Lucy was deeply sorry for the destruction and she had caused and made sure never to take Halloween too far in the future. There had been rumors around the school of Royal Woods recently that the Loud kids had disappeared. Lincoln, the eldest brother, was nowhere to be seen, and neither were the rest of his sisters, who usually caused their fair share of trouble. Suspicions began to arise around the town, and although no one could figure out what had happened, the rumors kept getting stranger. It almost seemed like the Loud kids had vanished into thin air during the middle of the night, but some people began to spread tales that they have done something more sinister. People began to say that they had gone insane, driven them by the unexplainable force. One day, rumors had seemed to be confirmed when a new episode of their beloved cartoon show, The Loud House, was discovered. It wasn't like any other episodes. However, it featured Luann, the joke enthusiast of the Loud family, dressed in an extremely detailed Pennywise costume, stalking and terrifying the citizens of Royal Woods. Horrified people were forced to watch as she scared, terrorized, and made mockery of everyone in her path. The city was left in her terror, and everyone was scared as much as to go outside. Eventually, the episode was taken off the air after too much outcry about its content. And as for what happened to the Loud kids, it is still a mystery to this day. But one thing is for sure, No one will ever forget that terrifying lost episode of The Loud House. It all started in the small town of Royal Woods. The citizens had plenty to talk about when the news of the mysterious new episode of their favorite show, The Loud House, made its way to the rounds. No one knew where or why the episode had appeared, only that Nickelodeon had begun playing it at the exactly 8 p.m. on a Tuesday night of 4th of April. The episode's air started off slowly, with the usual way introducing the characters, but quickly shifted into a darker tone. A black fog surrounded the town, leaving inhabitants feeling of terrible and unnatural presence. The fog slowly crept its way into the Loud House and made its way into the living room, where the family was gathered. One by one, each family of them began to act strangely, as if they were controlled by an evil force. From there, the episode took even more sinister turn. Every few seconds, a warped voice cracked through the room, telling the family secrets that they were never meant to be said out loud. The secrets seemed to be bringing out the darkest parts of the family, leaving them in a state of fear, horror, and shock. The episode ended with the family in the state of turmoil, unsure of what to do or where to go. With the exception of Lincoln, no one had even had the will or courage to say anything. He slowly raised his head with his eyes filled with fear and uttered one word that changed everything. You. The next morning, the episode was removed from the schedule, and it seemed to have vanished from the airwaves. Even until today, no one knows who put it in the lineup or what it means, but the citizens of Royal Woods still gossip about it in hushed whispers, knowing that some secrets should never be revealed.